Fox 17 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
In my opinion, we found Jessica's killer.
First at 4, nearly 3.5 years after the abduction of Jessica Haringa, charges are filed: kidnapping and murder. 2 men tied to the case for months now facing official charges. It is Jeffrey Willis who the prosecutor is holding responsible for the abduction and now death of Jessica Haringa, a man he has called on more than one occasion a monster.
Willis's cousin, meanwhile, Kevin Bloom, also charged an accessory after the fact in relation to the death of Haringa. His charges coming the same day that he's sentenced for lying to police in the investigation. The evidence has been mounting for months now, beginning with the sketch, a van, a separate murder, and a separate abduction, all leading to charges today in one of West Michigan's biggest unsolved crimes.
Our team coverage begins from the Muskegon Hall of Justice. Josh Sidorowicz following Bloom's movement in court. First, though, we are going live to Dana Chiklis, where just this afternoon, officially, Willis has been charged with Haringa's murder. Dana?
Michelle and Derek, it's been an unimaginable wait for family, any loved ones waiting for some kind of definitive answers on what happened to Jessica Haringa. And today, like you guys said, almost 3.5 years after Jessica had disappeared, Jeffrey Willis charged with open murder in her disappearance, and his cousin Kevin Bloom charged as an accessory after the fact in her kidnapping and murder. So let's go to court. Video just taken moments ago in the Muskegon County courtroom. Both Willis and Bloom arraigned on those charges. And it was hours earlier today, the Muskegon County prosecutor, that's DJ Hilson, stood before so many key investigators in both the Haringa and Rebecca Bletch cases. And he announced they believe they've found Jessica's killer. But Hilson, he wouldn't reveal any of the new evidence, of course, that led to its charges. But as we've reported, court documents obtained by Fox 17 show that Bloom admitted to helping dispose of Haringa's body, which may explain why he's being charged as an accessory to her murder in this case. Investigators also say Haringa likely died in the 24 to 48 hours after she was abducted. That was back April of 2013. And as far as a motive, the prosecutor called Willis a monster.
Well, I think, as I indicated before when we were here on Rebecca Bletch's case, this individual, Mr. Willis, is a monster. He certainly is an individual that I wouldn't let any of my children around, much less any female around. And what his total motivation was, that's only for him to say. And ultimately, I think this was part of who he was as a person.
A major development in one of West Michigan's largest cases here. The family of Jessica Haringa, her loved ones, were not in court today. We want to continue to respect their privacy. But if you do go online on social media, for instance, Facebook, on the Find Jessica page, it does ask that everybody keep her and her family in your prayers tonight. Fox 17, we will stay closely on both of these cases and keep you informed. For now, we're live in Muskegon. Dana Chiklis, Fox 17 News.
So much more to come with this, Dana, because still at this point, they haven't found Jessica's body. Did he talk about that at all?
We did ask about that. Because of ethical obligations, he wouldn't tell us any leads on any evidence that they're looking into. But he did say that this is a major development, that they won't stop until they get a conviction, and that they are still continuing to get tips regarding possible other homicide cases that may involve Jeffrey Willis. But they did say investigators are focused on solving and getting a conviction in the Jessica Haringa case before moving on to any others. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Dana. Meanwhile, as she just touched on, Jessica Haringa's family asking for privacy tonight, but we are hearing from the family of Rebecca Bletch.
Yeah, Jeffrey Willis, of course, charged in her murder earlier this year. Bletch was shot and killed while running in Dalton Township back in 2014. That case actually went cold for nearly 2 years until Willis's arrest back in May. Her family tonight saying they understand what the Haringa family is going through and their thoughts are with them.
My heart goes out to the Haringa family. I want to express my condolences to them. Everyone in that family, my heart goes out to you. You have my deepest sympathies.
Well, our team coverage continuing with Josh Sidorowicz. Josh, police have alluded for months now to the role they believe Willis's cousin likely played in all of this, and today they made that official.
Derek, they absolutely did. Kevin Bloom, the cousin of Jeffrey Willis, charged as an accessory after the fact in the murder of Jessica Heeringa. It is, as we've been saying, a huge development, but one that also came on the same day that Bloom was set to be sentenced on charges, different charges, those for lying to police multiple times in the ongoing investigations of both the disappearance of Jessica Heeringa, but also for the 2014 murder of Rebecca Bletch. Now today, amid all of these new allegations against him, he was still in fact sentenced for those lying charges. Here he is in the court just this afternoon. The courtroom just this afternoon. He appeared for that sentencing on those lying charges. Now, Bloom's suspected role in this entire case, as you just alluded to, Derek, has been questioned for quite some time now, dating back to these initial charges when they were first filed in June, when investigators say that Bloom gave conflicting accounts of his cousin Jeffrey Willis's involvement in the disappearance of Heeringa, and even more recently, startling details uncovered by Fox 17 showing that in some previous interviews with police, Bloom had told detectives he witnessed a, quote, blonde female tied up in the basement of a home that had formerly been owned by Willis's grandfather. He said he saw that the day after Heeringa vanished. He suspected it was her, only later telling police he actually made all of that up. But as far as Bloom is concerned, the timing and the announcement of these more charges today, well, that was in no way a coincidence. Listen.
You know, certainly it was important for us as prosecutors and as investigators that Kevin Bloom be held accountable for what we believe to be his participation in this particular crime. And I think a lot of us didn't want to see him walk out before he was held accountable today.
And back here live, you hear the prosecutor there say they didn't want to see him walk free. And Derek, Michelle, that is because had Bloom just been sentenced on those lying charges today without any of this other stuff coming out, he would have been a free man. There was no probation. His sentence was 96 days in jail, the exact amount of time that he has been waiting now, being held by police to be sentenced on those charges. Otherwise, he'd have walked free.
Oh, gosh.
We're live this afternoon in Muskegon County. Yeah. Michelle, Derek.
Josh, you know, this is the kind of thing we're talking about the families, but for the prosecutors, for DJ Hilson, this was personal to them as well.
Well, it absolutely is. And I mean, even seeing obviously how much time they've put into this, but also after the fact, watching the prosecutor's office and the prosecutor interact with the Bletch family who was here today, the Bletch family thanking them for the work that they have done. They certainly take this personal, and we've heard many times, I mean, they take this home with them. They want to see this solved just as much as everybody else.
Yeah, they certainly do. Of course, a lot of connection of different families. Josh, thanks for that. And of course, this all unfolded after police say Willis abducted a 16-year-old girl this spring in Laketon Township.
That's right. It happened back in April. The girl told police she asked to use his cell phone, but jumped out of his van after she later identified Willis in a lineup, leading investigators to search his van and his house, eventually finding evidence connecting him to both the murder of Becky Bletch and now Jessica Heeringa. Today, DJ Hilson called that young girl a hero.
Well, I think as I indicated before, I consider that young lady a hero. I think that her bravery and her willingness to really put her life on the line, that fateful early morning, has opened the doors to a lot of different things. And certainly, she may not realize it and recognize it, but she is a very important piece to this entire puzzle.
And we will have lots more coming up here at 4:30 here on Fox 17 News, including some of the possible evidence against Willis and Bloom. Also breaking now for a large police response right now to a neighborhood in Walker.
We are told it is a standoff with police trying to negotiate with a man that they believe is armed. Fox 17's Michael Dupre live on the scene. He joins us now with the latest on what he's found out this afternoon. Michael.
Well, I can tell you that the police standoff is taking place about 100 yards behind me, and it is taking place on a house on the left here at Miller Street. I can also tell you that there is an extremely strong police presence involved in this, and that includes multiple law enforcement agencies, including Grand Rapids, Kent County, and Walker. Now, here's what we do know about this standoff. We know that it began just after noon today. The Kent County Sheriff's Department telling us that a man in his 20s and his girlfriend were holed up inside the house. It could possibly be because of some domestic issues or because of a threat of suicide by the boyfriend. Authorities confirming he does have an armed gun inside the home. Now, the girl was released from the house around 3:45, so currently it is only the male inside the home that negotiators are trying to talk to and convince him to come outside of the house. I can also confirm there are multiple SWAT and tactical teams involved in the standoff, including a command bus, a Bearcat, an armored Humvee, and also, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a type of military vehicle with a gun turret on top also involved with this. And I wanted to give you an update that I just got from a deputy with the Sheriff's Department here. We're on the outer perimeter. Now, he was telling me the inner perimeter is where all the vehicles are over there. Earlier, it was the Walker Police Department there on that inner perimeter, but he told me just now they were replacing the Walker Police Department with a tactical team. So that means the SWAT team is now taking place on the inner perimeter. What that means, we'll have to just wait and see, but we will keep you updated with the standoff as developments happen. For now, live in Walker, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.
Let's switch